Hello my beautiful fragrance family, Dustin here, fragrance fan. Go ahead and do me a solid and click that like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell notification, and I'm just going to keep on giving you guys these budget-friendly fragrance reviews, that $40-ish and $100 range. Most of these are way less than that. A good number of these you can find at your local rack stores. And there's a lot of clones that I have that I haven't reviewed yet. I got them recently, and I don't want to just like review them because I'm excited, I got it, it smells good or whatever, and just do a quick review. I might do that on some of my shorts, but as far as my full reviews, I want to actually wear these things, spend some time with them so I can give you guys a good overlook of my experience with the fragrances. So the one I got for you today, I'm seeing anyhow in pretty much all the rack stores now. This one is not like hidden, it's in there. And this one is Red Cherry. Quite clearly Tom Ford's Lost Cherry clone. So, as expected, gorgeous atomizer every time. So this one has more of the cherry liqueur, that syrup, than Tom Ford. Tom Ford has that note, but this one is much more prominent and much spicier up top. Very, very, very spicy, balsamic with that cherry liqueur going on. The Tom Ford's is obviously it's going to be good, nicer, higher quality oil, so it's more of a believable, actual, like store-bought cherry, whereas this is straight up like the cherry that you pull out of a little jar and you put in like your cherry Coke or something. That's the kind of cherry that you smell in this off the top. 15 minutes later, it starts to settle down. The spiciness starts to retract a little bit, and you're left with a little bit more of like, you kind of get some of the nuttiness, and it starts getting a bit creamier. And the more that it settles, and the more that this thing sits, that harshness and that syrup cherry starts to dissipate, and you're left with the nice cherry, and it becomes very creamy. The spice is still there, but it's quite mild. This is actually a good smelling fragrance 30 minutes into it. The first at least 15 minutes to 30 minutes, it might be a bit much for most people. This thing is very sweet. It's labeled as a unisex fragrance, but this is probably the fragrance that would go most feminine in my collection that is labeled as a unisex fragrance. If you don't like sweet fragrances or anything that might smell feminine whatsoever, this just might vibe completely wrong with you. And you'll find this a lot in the women's section. As with most of these, I always check the women's section first. But it's very spicy, harsh, kind of synthetic, all that mess right up front. You're hit with this super solid blast of that artificial cherry with a lot of that spiciness at the beginning. Like I said, 15 minutes, that really starts to tone down. The spiciness starts to dissipate first, and then the creaminess starts to come out. Longevity on this isn't too bad. On me, it's not too great. It's like average, like 5 hours or something like that. I could see how a lot of people would get really solid performance out of this just because of how loud and sharp this thing smells. But me personally, I'm getting like 5 hours, but it's not bad. This is actually the most expensive one that I've got, $19.99. It's more than the rest, which were like $14.99 and some are $16.99. Oh, I take that back. Exquisite Latin Tradition, or that mouthful of a fragrance, that thing was also $20. So overall, this one ain't too bad. It's definitely not my favorite in the lineup. It kind of takes a little bit of boldness to pull this one off if you want to wear it in public, but it can be done. I've done it before. It smells nice. Loud train. But yeah, it's not a bad smelling fragrance. Overall, I mean, I'll give it a 5.5. That sounds, a lot of people, I might get some flack for that, but in all honesty, It didn't like wow me or anything like that. The only thing that I really got any kind of wow factor was that dry down. If the opening was as nice as the dry down, it could easily be a 6.5. But since the opening is so harsh, I can't go that high. It's because that opening is pretty rough at first. And then the dry down is so quiet though. It doesn't really start projecting. Once it starts smelling really, really good, it's not really projecting anymore. It's just your personal scent that you're smelling. So like that harshness, I don't know what it smells like in the air, like on somebody else for that first 15 to 30 minutes, but if it smells like what I'm smelling, it might be a little bit much for anybody. But I'm not harping on it because, like I said, it's a good smelling fragrance, especially after that 30 minutes dries down. It's nice smelling. Whoa, I tried to get myself. Yeah, it's sharp, spicy, a bit harsh, super artificial and synthetic up top. Just wait for the dry down. That's where the magic is in this thing. It's in that dry down. Spiciness is still there. It's just not as aggressive. Creaminess comes out. More of a believable cherry note. It gets quite lovely after that. So as far as seasons, this is definitely a cool weather fragrance. No doubt about it. You do not want to wear this thing when you're sweating. Occasions to wear it. It's daytime casual. I don't think it's too much of a nighttime fragrance. It's not as dark as some of the other Tom Fords. More mature. I don't really see a youth wanting to wear this thing unless maybe it's a girl, just to be honest with you. But yeah, that's my final thoughts on Milestone's Red Cherry. With that, I'm out. Y'all be blessed. Take care of yourself always. And until next time.